Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I am going to be renovating the Daisy hovel in the world of Willow Creek. This is one of the base game starter homes, and I just think it needs a little bit of work. I've been doing this series where I'm renovating base game homes using only the base game, and somehow I haven't renovated this one yet. So this is what the outside looks like. We didn't have the ability to extend eaves yet at the time of release of the base game. There's some very sparse landscaping, very small house, and inside is where it gets really bad. This is the living room. There's just a couch with a lamp behind it and a tiny TV, a very dark dining space, a lone kids bookshelf. Our kitchen is tucked in this weird central area of the house. There is a single bedroom that looks like this, very empty, and then here is the bathroom with this kid's mirror above the sink. That's the entire house. So we're gonna go ahead and renovate it. So the first thing I did was go through and get rid of all of these little plants outside as they were scattered in the front yard. And then of course I had to extend the eaves and paint the roof a different color and play around with the roof trims. I also wanted to change out the columns. I was pretty adamant about using some of the newer items we got in a base game update earlier this year for the anniversary. And I did end up using some of them, but not all. I moved the staircase to the middle here and then back to the side a few different times. It actually ends up being on the front of the house, but over to the left. And I think that works out the best, especially because I ended up moving the front door so it's not centered anymore, as I think it just worked a lot better for the flow of the floor plan. You don't have a door just opening into the middle of the room. It's over to the side, which helps to create a little bit more of a entryway moment. I also almost used these windows from that base game update, but I decided I wanted ones with shutters instead, and I tried a few different sizes of them. I tried these really large ones as we are on medium wall height, and I did want to keep that as that is pretty realistic to the style of home in real life. So I thought having the larger windows would make more sense, but I just thought they looked a little bit clunky and too big. So I did go for this medium size on the front. And at first I have it on the sides and the back of the house as well, but I will be actually going back to these smaller ones for the side and the back. But the front keeps those larger ones, and I think it looks really pretty. I've always been a fan of the style of houses that came in the base game. I think they pretty much all needed some work, but I really like the styles of these homes in Willow Creek. They're based on shotgun houses in New Orleans, and I just think they're really cool. With that being said though, the floor plan I end up having on the inside of this house does not really work with the traditional shotgun style. I guess the current one doesn't really either, based on the fact that the door went in the middle of the house and that didn't connect to doorways in the back, and there kind of were little hallways, which is something that they didn't typically have. But I do actually make this into a 2-bedroom house, and it does not stay a starter home. I decided to not attempt to create it as a starter home, but maybe that's something I can do in the future if you would like to see some houses staying as starter homes with the base game only. And speaking of that, let me know which build I should do next for this renovating base game only using the base game series that I've had on the channel. I've mostly done homes at this point. I believe I did one community lot, which was the Rattlesnake Bar in Oasis Springs, but I'd be down to do some more. I think it would be really fun to do some more community lots. I have a little bit more experience now because in the next expansion pack, Adventure Awaits, I built 3 of the lots, and all of them are community lots. So I feel a little bit more confident in my ability at this point, so I think it'd be kind of fun. So let me know what lots you would like to see. Also, if you like this build and you'd like to grab it for yourself, you can go ahead and grab it on the Sims 4 gallery under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You could also find it under the hashtag Gryphi, and that information will be in the description down below as well. I also wanted to let you know that the September sale is going on right now on the EA app with lots of packs up to 50% off, and that sale ends on September 18th. So now is a great time to pick up any packs you've been thinking about, or maybe even pre-order Adventure Awaits. I did build 3 of the lots for that new world, and I'm really excited about it. And it would mean the world to me if you would use my creator code Gryphi when making a purchase on the app, as I receive a small commission and it really helps to support me as a creator. So thank you for considering, and thanks to EA for sponsoring this portion of the video. Anyway, working on the interior now. This is where I thought I was going to have the living room, but it's actually going to scooch back to be kind of in front of the kitchen right when you enter, as this is going to be where I put the second bedroom, which ends up being like a teen tween room, kind of the style I like to go for a lot, which is a sim who is probably an older child or about to turn into a teen, or maybe just aged up into a teen. I just think that's the age that's the most fun to decorate for, so that's what I tend to go for. So there will be a bedroom in the front, and actually by moving the living room back and having the couch pretty close to the front door, it creates a fake hallway that is like the entry to the house. Without having to put a wall there, it feels like it's a closed off hallway space. Not sure if that makes sense, but you'll see when we get to the inside. But right now I am popping outside to do a little bit of landscaping. I really wanted to have a taller tree here to kind of like cover where the foundation turns from that, oh gosh, I always forget what it's called. But the foundation I have under the porch versus the rest of the house, because I think it's pretty realistic to have that on a porch. That's what I had on my house growing up, but I wanted the rest of it to be brick, and I just thought the change looked a little awkward. So I wanted to cover that up with a tree, and I got all kinds of other plants over there. And then I decided to have a second entrance or exit to this house over on the side coming out of the primary bedroom. I thought that that was kind of a nice addition. So just adding a roof and some railings over there. And I should also be fencing in the side yard so that there is a separate space for the Sims to enjoy. The original lot didn't have that, but I thought it would be nice to just have some private space. And there's a lot of space actually around the back of the house, so I could have fenced that in as well, but it didn't look quite as good, so I just kept it to the side yard. But you could extend that if you want, or extend the house if you go ahead and download this. But I'm just using this basic fence in a black swatch, actually. I don't know if I've ever used this swatch, but I really liked how it matched the shutters of the windows that I have on the home. And then I'm just adjusting our landscaping and adding some terrain paint down here. And I should be getting a fence that leads to the gate as well, yeah. And picking some tiles. I just use the sidewalk slabs to go ahead and connect to this area. And then I kind of deleted each row here so that it looks like stepping stones leading to the to the side entrance. I wanted to say sidewalk and side entrance at the same time. Anyway, just finishing up some landscaping, grabbing our trash can and putting that tucked next to the back entrance of the home and continuing some of our terrain paint. And I think we're heading back inside now. This is the primary bedroom, and I'm just making it a little bit smaller so there's more space in the living area. And I really, really wanted to use the bed that I have in there, which came with an update earlier this year. It's like a Pride swatch bed. It has a plain black and white swatch, but lots of swatches that are different Pride flags. And I was like, oh, I want to use some of the newer items in this build, so let's do that. And at this point, I was thinking there's only going to be one bedroom, so I wanted to use that one in there. And I just couldn't get it to work. It ends up being a different bed in the end, but I did use one of the fun, colorful swatches, one of the Pride swatches, in this other bedroom once we get to decorating it. I'm just adjusting some of the windows so that they're not cut off by that wall. And I was really happy with this. I feel like there's still plenty of space for this family. A nice cozy couch in here with a big TV and a 4-seater table, plus the full kitchen, a little office nook, and the 2 bedrooms. I was so happy with how this floor plan came out. I hope you like it as well. Let me know what you think. And so we will be decorating that bedroom in a little while. I just wanted to make sure we had space for it. And then this is what dictated the color scheme in this house. As soon as I put this tile down in the kitchen, I was like, oh my gosh, the orange with the blue. Yes, immediately. I was very excited about it. It made the inside so much brighter because at this point it was kind of like blue, brown, and white, kind of like gray too. And I wanted it to feel happier and like friendly family home. And so as soon as I picked the tile, I knew exactly where to go from there. I got some sunflowers in the kitchens, a bowl of fruit, and just like a couple of other decorations. I always like adding this chalkboard in here as like a menu of what we're going to have for the week. I have something like that in my kitchen. It's a whiteboard though, and I have it on the fridge. And so we'll write down ideas so that every day we don't have to go, what do you want for dinner? I don't know. What do you want for dinner? Because that is just so frustrating. Anyway, just grabbing a light to go up above the table and then painting the walls so many different times. I knew I basically wanted some sort of beige wall in here, but I didn't know which one. So I swapped back and forth a few different times. And then I'm just picking out some curtains. I don't use these ones too often, but I thought that they worked really nicely in this space. And then for the entryway, you can see that's kind of created behind the couch. I made sure to put a mirror, a place to hang up a coat. I also have a shoe rack over here. And then over on the closer side to the kitchen, I just have a painting. And I also placed an ottoman down here with a couple of cushions and the trash can for the kitchen. But I thought this would be a nice place for your Sims to sit down and put their shoes on before they're heading out. Not that they actually do that, but that was the idea behind it. And of course, I had to add some of these cushions both to the ottoman and to the couch just to add a little bit more color and realism. So I have some orange ones here, which I thought were so pretty. It brings in the orange from the kitchen. And there's just something about this space that I think feels so cozy and lived in. Anyway, in the living room, I just placed down one of my favorite base game coffee tables. I love all the clutter that's under it, and then I used some of these upper head cabinet pieces to be sort of a floating TV stand on this wall and put a large TV above it, and got one of my favorite base game plants in the corner. I'm pretty sure towards the end of the build, I also end up placing a backpack out here in the living room. It was after I finished the teenager's room, so I wanted something that kind of matched the aesthetic that Sim goes for. So I will place that in a little while, but first I'm getting a little mat to stand on in the kitchen and working on our little office nook, which is just like a hallway I put a desk in. I always like to do that when I don't have space for a dedicated office. I think it's a nice way to go about that and pretty realistic for family homes. At least that's kind of how it was when I was in high school and I lived in an apartment. We had our desk and computer in like the corner of the living room. Above the desk, I put a couple of these framed magazine covers and a cork board so your Sims can hang up some postcards if they have a pen pal, or you can just grab them out of debug. That's usually what I do. And then I just wanted to make sure there was a place to put pens and pencils. There's an open journal over here. I just wanted it to feel like the space was in use, but it's a really simple area. And I also included a bookcase over in the corner. And that should be pretty much it for this little hallway space. I think I just added some art on the wall. Yeah. And then this is our one and only bathroom. I knew I wanted to use the same countertops that I used in the kitchen because I think they look so good like this, where you have a full one in the middle and then drawers on either side for a bathroom. It just feels very realistic. And then I have a standing shower and a toilet. And I also grabbed a like little linen cabinet thing to put in here. I still really want over the toilet organizers in this game. I think that's just so realistic, that have legs and kind of like go behind the toilet and above it. We don't have anything like that. And I feel like that's just always what I've had in every place I've ever lived. So I think that would be kind of a cool thing to get in the future. Anyway, just cluttering up the counter here and getting a couple of towels. I also hung up a bathrobe. And then we're heading to the primary bedroom, where I'm going to really, really try to make this bed work and give up and end up using a pretty boring bed that we've had in base game since day one. But I think it works out okay, because you can't always have something new with base game builds. I just really wanted to try and use this bed, and it worked out because I got to use the single tile version of it in the other bedroom instead. So yeah, just trying to center these below the windows as I added an additional window in this room. I just thought that that would help splitting up the wall a little bit, so I decided to do that. I also thought about using this artwork when I was going for this sort of black, white, and blue theme in here, but I got rid of the artwork in the end. I didn't really like how it looked there. I don't know, that's just a piece I don't use very often. I think it's pretty, and I feel like I would use it in real life if I had it, but in The Sims, it's just not one I reach for very often. But for the clutter, I just have a couple of bedside table lamps, some like lotions and stuff, some books, and this pile of like crates that has a variety of items in it. It just feels like piles of junk. And I think that is so realistic. So I definitely wanted to add that in here. And then I also have this little basket over in the corner, which is like a kid's basket. And I just think it's so cute. I feel like maybe when their child that's in the other room was a kid, they had that basket and they outgrew it and didn't want it anymore. But the parent thought it was so cute, they had to keep it. So it's in here and has like blanket storage or something in it. And then I also included a television in this room. I like to do that in my Sims houses, just because, once again, I think it's quite realistic. I have a TV in my room and I like to have it on to fall asleep. I like the light, I like the noise. So I like to do that for my Sims as well. But here we should be finally changing the bed to the other base game bed, I think, very, very soon. And I also changed the curtains to be blue and brought in a blue rug, which I thought was really pretty. Although I don't think I didn't keep the curtains blue. They are beige instead. And then just playing around with those pillows. And here is where we grab our lovely gray base game bed. I don't know why, I just think it worked a lot better in here. But this is going to be our tween room, and I used the bed that is in the pansexual pride colors. I just thought it was so fun and vibrant, so I decided to use that in here. I got some yellow curtains, this really cute cloud rug, and there's just going to be a lot of colorful like toys and accessories and things. Like I said, I was kind of imagining the Sim was like 12 or 13, like on the cusp of being a teenager, so they have a lot of those fun, colorful things still, but they're not like a little kid. And honestly, any excuse I can get to use this little fox lamp, I will take, because it is the cutest lamp in the game, and I kind of want it in real life. So that's another reminder. Having a fun, colorful, kid-like room like this doesn't mean you have to have your Sim be a kid, or in real life too. I have so many stuffed animals in my office, if you've ever seen any of my face cam videos. So I would love that fox lamp in real life. I don't know where I would get that. I guess maybe if I looked in like a store that has kids furniture, that might be how I do it. I'm not sure. Anyway, just grabbing a wardrobe over here. I also got one of these cute chairs and a couple of posters, and that should be pretty much it for the interior. And then on the front porch, I decided to grab a chess table, so we have a place for your Sims to work on their logic skill, and then I will be decorating the side yard where I believe I get monkey bars and some planters. But for real, that is it. So I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and click that bell to be notified when I upload. And a massive thank you to my YouTube members for your continued support. If you'd like to become a member yourself, you can click the join button below the video or the link in the description. And thank you so much to everyone that has been using my creator code Gryphi at checkout for the current sale on the EA app or for pre-ordering Adventure Awaits. It really means a lot. Please enjoy the screenshots, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.